All right. What is going on? I coach nutrition family. Welcome back for another podcast. Today's topic we're going to be diving into is how to gain muscle, right? So this is kind of building off of the last episode that I did there on how to lose body fat. So if you think about how to lose body fat and everything that we talked about in terms of eating in a calorie deficit, how to build muscle is going to be the exact opposite of that, right? Technically speaking, in terms of trying to build muscle, to put on muscle, you don't have to eat in a calorie deficit like how you were for trying to lose body fat. You got to do the exact opposite, meaning that you have to eat in a calorie surplus. Now, this is something that, is kind of geared a little bit more towards people like myself or people that have been working out, and doing strength training and being very, very consistent with that for years and years and years. There is a caveat with that for people that haven't been working out at all or have never done strength training before. And they get kind of what's referenced as like the newbie gains, if you will. But I'm going to kind of break down both of these scenarios and then you can kind of see which one applies to you. So when it comes to building muscle, for those that have been consistently working out, strength training has always been a part of their routine. Like myself, I'm not going to be able to build muscle eating in a calorie deficit or eating at maintenance calories even. I'm going to have to actually eat in a slight calorie surplus. Typically like 10% of my calorie intake would be a good mark. Kind of building off that 300 to 500 calorie deficit, a 300 to 500 calorie surplus would kind of be a good spot there so that I'm able to actually build muscle and be able to minimize the amount of body fat that's gained while building muscle. So for most of the people in this group, most of these people in the podcast, most of the people that follow me and most of the clients that I work with, I'm not the target population here, right? Most of the clients that I work with are people that, have not been being consistent with their workouts and their exercise, right? We've kind of fallen into a little bit more of a sedentary lifestyle. And so for you definitely can be able to achieve what we'd reference as these newbie gains, which is you can actually be able to build muscle while eating in a calorie deficit. You can actually build muscle at maintenance calories, and you can obviously build muscle in a calorie surplus. But it's just a very interesting fact in that the reason why this is able to happen, right, is because your body hasn't adapted to the training stimulus. Right. For me, for example, I'm never going to hit a PR, meaning a personal record, on any of my lifts ever again for the rest of my life. Right. When I was a senior in high school, I back squatted 600 pounds. I'm never going to back squat 600 pounds again for the rest of my life. Same thing with deadlift and bench press and clean and jerk and snatch and all of these different movements. I've already hit my lifetime PRs in all of these lifts, and I'm never going to PR in any of them again. And I also don't really care to ever get that strong again or to lift that heavy again. My goals have shifted now from performance to wanting to be able to, work out and do strength training and live a healthy lifestyle for the rest of my life. And so I'm not going to be chasing these PRs and being able to try to lift as much as I possibly can anymore. So with that said, the only way that I can really be able to build muscle, right, is I have to very, very, specifically work on tracking my food intake and eating in a calorie surplus in order to accomplish that goal. It's very, very, very hard for me to eat at maintenance calories, or especially I would argue it's impossible for me to eat in a calorie deficit and be able to build muscle. Now, again, with the majority of the clients that I work with, the majority of people that are in this group, listening to this podcast, kind of in the iCoach community, this is not the case. If you've somebody that hasn't worked out in the last year or last few years, even if you're eating in a calorie deficit with the goal to lose weight, to lose body fat, you absolutely can actually lose body fat and build muscle at the same exact time, which again, scientifically speaking, right, looking at the research, looking at the literature, it tells us that that's impossible to do, right? But it all depends on if you're a trained individual or an untrained individual. And so for those of you that haven't consistently worked out, for those of you that haven't made strength training a part of your life, right, you absolutely can achieve both of these things at the same exact time there. And in fact, most of the time, just by the stimulus alone of starting to lift weights and do resistance training, do strength training, you're going to start building muscle regardless of where your calorie intake is at. Now, how do we maximize this, right? Regardless of whether you're the trained individual like myself or the untrained individual like so many of you that I'm talking to here. What's going to maximize your ability to build muscle are a few different things. Number one is going to be sleep, right? If you're somebody that's chronically sleeping in a deficit, meaning that you're getting less than 7 hours of sleep every night, it's definitely going to make it a lot harder for you to be able to build muscle, right? The sleep requirement is 7 to 9 hours a night, 7 being bare minimum, 9 being optimal. And so if you want to maximize your ability to build muscle, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you're prioritizing getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you're somebody that's getting 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night, it's going to make it a lot harder for you to be able to build muscle. Okay. The other side of it is going to be obviously on the nutrition. We talked kind of about the calorie intake side of things here, but the protein intake side of it is going to be also very, very important, right? So the current protein recommendation is going to be taking your body weight, or if you have a weight loss goal, right? Like let's say, for example, you're at 300 pounds and you want to be at 200, right? And you have more of a 100 pound, or you have a big weight loss goal that you want to accomplish. I would recommend actually going off your goal body weight versus your current body weight. And so either way, we would take that number and we'd multiply it by a range of 0.7 to 1.0. Okay. And that's going to be how many grams of protein per day that you're going to want to work on consuming. So if you're somebody that isn't trying to lose a whole bunch of weight, and the weight loss goal is pretty minimal there, I would just go off what your current weight is. I would take that number, multiply it by 0.7. And on the 0.7 end, that's going to be people that are sedentary, that aren't working out, especially that aren't doing strength training or resistance training there, or lifting weights. And so that should be looked at as like the bare minimum, no different than sleep. Now, if you are doing strength training and you are doing resistance training and lifting weights, which you should be, right? If your goal is to build muscle, it's really, really hard to build muscle if you're not doing resistance training, strength training, lifting weights of some kind there, right? Then you should actually be closer though to taking your body weight or your goal body weight and multiplying that by 1.0. So for example, for me, I weigh about 185 pounds. So my goal is to hit at least, right? And I strength train also, right? I strength train 3 to 5 days a week. So my goal should be to hit at least 185 grams of protein per day. Taking my body weight, multiplying that by 1.0, 185 times 1, 185 grams of protein per day. I can bump that number up even more if I wanted to, right? If I could go body weight times 1.1, 1.2, maybe even 1.3 if I wanted to. But I don't have to. What I'm going to want to stay away from though is ending up at 130, 140, 150 grams a day, because that's just not enough for me as an individual that's trying to put on muscle, right? Or even be able to maintain the level of muscle mass that I'm at. So 3 things so far, right? Sleep, adequate amount of calories, adequate amount of protein. And the other side of it is going to be on the actual exercise side, right? Making sure that, if your goal is to build muscle, you shouldn't just be doing cardio, right? You have to incorporate strength training. You have to incorporate resistance training, lifting weights, right? You have to you have to sit there and challenge your body, right? And you have to put a stimulus on your body, an external load on your body, right? To help you to be able to, essentially break down muscle tissue and then be able to rebuild it through sleep and nutrition. And so being able to lift weights, right? To be able to follow a strength training program that has progressive overload in it, meaning that you're seeing the weights progress. Maybe it's not week by week, but definitely month by month, year by year, right? You're getting stronger, right? And you're being able to track that data and prove to yourself that yes, you are, assuming that form and technique obviously are good, right? We don't want to get injured here or anything like that, but you do want to be able to progress in weights. You do want to be able to start getting stronger, right? And start doing more challenging movements and exercises there. And so these are all, I would say these are the 3 most important aspects of being able to build muscle: your sleep, your nutrition, and your training, right? If you're lacking on the sleep side of things, that's going to make it a lot more challenging to be able to build muscle. If your nutrition isn't dialed in from a calorie and protein standpoint, it's going to make it a lot more challenging to be able to build muscle. And then number 3, if you're just over here doing whatever, spin classes, or just running, or just biking, or just doing like cardio exercises there, and you're not actually doing resistance training, strength training, lifting weights, it's going to make it harder to be able to build muscle. So if your goal is to build muscle, which everybody should have that goal the majority of the time, right? The more lean muscle mass that we can have, the higher metabolism is going to be. Therefore, the more calories you can eat, the more freedom and flexibility you're going to be able to have with your nutrition, right? And then, not to mention, when we think about long-term health aspects of this, like being able to prevent osteoporosis, right? Being able to have an adequate amount of bone density, right? Being able to have strong muscles and tendons and ligaments, right? So that you're able to get off the toilet by yourself when you're 80 years old, right? So that you can age with dignity, right? This is a very, very important aspect of living a healthy lifestyle. I'm not saying that the only thing that you should do in terms of your exercise and training is strength training. You would definitely want to have the conditioning aspect of it as well, and the flexibility aspect of it, and just working in things that you truly do enjoy, right? Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, if you're not having fun with it, if you're not seeing the results, then ultimately you're not going to be adherent in the first place. You're not going to be consistent in the first place, right? But strength training should definitely be something that you are prioritizing, right? I would recommend getting in at least 2 to 3 strength training workouts a week, right? That's where the priority should lie. Strength training, resistance training, lifting weights, whatever you want to call it there, right? But you should be incorporating that into your routine, into your lifestyle, right? And without it, well, problems are going to occur, and especially on the side of not being able to, achieve the body composition that you want, the physique that you want, being able to look how you want to look, right? This is a big, big aspect of the equation, right? For, majority of clients that I work with are women, right? And I hear it all the time, I don't want to get bulky, right? I don't want to get too big. I don't want to get too bulky. I want to look toned, right? I want to look lean. Okay, I totally get it, right? But the reality of it is lifting weights, right, is not going to get you bulky, right, or too big or whatever, right? That's done through nutrition, right? Like that's done through calories, right? If you're over here doing strength training and eating in a calorie surplus, way too big of a calorie surplus all the time, and your food quality is terrible, and you're not prioritizing your nutrition, well then, yeah, of course you're going to gain weight, and you're going to gain weight in a way that you aren't happy with, right? But assuming that your sleep and your nutrition and your hydration and your stress management are all dialed in, strength training is going to be one of the biggest benefiting factors that you could ever incorporate into your life. And not to mention, what it does for you from a confidence standpoint is incredible, right? Strong is beautiful, as I always say, right? And so we grew up kind of in a culture here where, again, you see women all the time walking around with their, little 2-pound dumbbells at the gym or whatever, right? I mean, if you have kids, like holding your kid on the side of your hip weighs way more than 2 pounds, 5 pounds, whatever, right? So there's a stigma from a cultural standpoint, right, to where women shouldn't lift heavy or women aren't strong. And I'm here to tell you right now, like that is just not true, right? And the faster that you can get to believe that, and the faster that you can kind of flip the switch and change your mindset on that, the better result that you're going to get, the better you're going to feel, the better you're going to look, the better you're going to perform. And so, whether you're a female or a male, strength training is absolutely incredibly, incredibly important. And I promise you that if you can make this a priority in your training and your exercise, you're going to see phenomenal results from that. So don't be afraid to build muscle. Building muscle is a very, very good thing for your overall health. And it also is going to help you to, be able to achieve some of these other goals that you want to achieve in terms of losing weight and losing body fat. We have a lot of people that when they want to lose weight, they think to themselves like, oh, I just need to eat less and exercise more, right? I just need to do a whole bunch of cardio, right? And put myself in a calorie deficit. And this is, kind of going back to that previous podcast. This is something that we see a lot, right? To where you lose weight, but you also lose muscle. And now all of a sudden you gain the weight back plus more, right? And so this is not the scenario that you want to go down. In a perfect world here, we'd have a balance of both, right? We'd have a balance of strength training, a balance of of cardio or conditioning, right? And we kind of merge the two into a strength and conditioning program that, combined with adequate amount and quality of sleep, right? Prioritizing your nutrition, your hydration, your stress management. This is ultimately the perfect recipe for being able to get the best results possible, to be able to feel your best, look your best, and perform your best. So guys, if you have any questions whatsoever on how to build muscle, please drop them below in the comments. Send me a message, send me an email. Happy to help. And again, don't forget, right? When we are trying to build muscle, we've got to make sure that we're actually training, not just exercising, right? There's something what's called an RPE scale, a rate of perceived exertion, right? And so when you're doing strength training, as you start to get more comfortable with the exercises, you should be pushing yourself in the gym. Again, we're not trying to get injured, right? But if you finish a set of 10 reps and every single one of those reps are completely easy and there's no struggle, right? There's no resistance. You're not going to, close to failure on any of these exercises or any of these sets, then you're probably not really training. You're probably just more so like checking the box and exercising. And so, I will say something's better than nothing for sure, but you will get to a point where your body's going to adapt and you're going to need to be actually pushing yourself in the gym, right? And what comes from that, right, is the confidence as well as the resiliency that carries over into every single aspect of your life, right? The stronger you are in the gym, the stronger you're going to be in the game of life. And so don't forget that. Let that be a positive reminder there for you. And I, again, could probably expand on this a whole lot more. I'm going to try to keep this short. But if there's any specific questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, drop them below. I'm sure if you have the question, there's probably 100 more people that have the same exact question. And if you haven't checked out any of the workout programs or my workout app, iTrain, definitely do that. You can go on the website, iCoachNutrition.com right now. There's 3 workout programs that are in there that are strength conditioning workout programs, and they are absolutely free. You can put your name and email in and download them for free. And then the app, my workout app, it's less than, getting your Starbucks coffee every single month there, significantly less than that. It's literally $19 a month. It gives you access to tons and tons and tons of workout training programs. It allows you to record all of your weights there in the app. And so that can definitely be a great resource for y'all to be able to, be able to follow an actual workout program rather than just going into the gym and just not knowing what to do, not being confident, just doing random exercises, random workouts, and never really actually seeing true results there in the gym. So we want to make sure that the time and energy that we're putting into the gym, that we're getting the most out of that, right? And we also want to make sure that we're following a progressive overload structured program, right? That's going to allow you to get stronger, allow you to build muscle, right? Allow you to not get injured, right? Because it's built out in an intelligent way. And we also want it to be fun, right? And enjoyable, right? So that you'll keep coming back and being consistent. So again, there's my little pitch on iTrain and, kind of the program that comes off of iCoach here in terms of working out. And again, this was just built off the fact that I have a lot of clients that I was working with nutrition. They were going to F45 or Orange Theory or CrossFit or spin classes or going into the 24-hour fitness lifetime type gyms and just working out on their own and not really getting the best results. And so when I started building out the workout programs, when I started building out the workout app and having them follow, what type of strength training and strength conditioning type workout programs that you really should be following in terms of wanting to get the most out of your time there. You're in the gym in an hour or less than all of these workouts. We started seeing amazing results, right? Not just from the nutrition and lifestyle habits, but being able to have me kind of have the 10,000 foot view of what they're doing with their training as well. And so this is just something that I offer there to anybody and everybody that is looking for a workout program, a workout app to jump on and start following. And so, yeah, just really trying to grow that and start building that up. Our goal is to have hundreds, if not thousands of people there on that workout app over the next year and over the next few years here. So let me know if you have any questions with that. Hope you have an amazing day. Thank you always for the support. And until next time, let's get it.